Welcome back to the deep dive on Voices Between. Today, we are tackling a question that I think you have probably asked yourself at least once, usually when you're lying in bed at 3 a.m. with a fever, staring in the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we get sick?
Right.
Is it just bad luck? Is it just that guy who sneezed on you in the elevator? Or is it, just a bad roll of the genetic dice?
It's the fundamental question of pathology, really.
Mm.
And usually the answer we get from the world is purely material. It's a germ, it's a virus, it's a mutation.
Yeah, something external.
Exactly. But today we're looking at a stack of sources that suggest something much more provocative.
Right.
The thesis here is that we might actually be building our own illnesses,
Oof.
brick by brick, or rather, thought by thought.
Which is a terrifying concept, honestly. It feels a bit like saying, hey, that flu you have, you did that.
It can feel that way.
But before we spiral into existential dread, let's set the stage. We are looking at the works of Joanna de Ângelis. Now, for those new to this, these books were written through the mediumship of Divaldo Pereira Franco. So we're dealing with what is called psychographed literature.
Right. So essentially, Divaldo acts as the antenna, and Joanna de Ângelis is the intelligence broadcasting the signal.
And we are pulling from 3 specific heavy hitters today.
Correct. We've got O Homem Integral, which is the integral man, Momentos de Saúde, moments of health, and Autodescobrimento, Uma Busca Interior, or self-discovery, an inner search.
And the mission is to unpack her take on psychosomatics. But this isn't just stress causes headaches, right? This goes deeper.
Oh, much deeper. This is what she calls spiritist psychology. She's not just saying stress is bad. She's arguing that the mind acts as a biological organizing model.
Okay.
She suggests that destructive mental states don't just make you feel bad emotionally. They physically dismantle your immune system. I mean, she takes us way upstream from the symptom to the source.
Okay, biological organizing model. That sounds technical. Let's break that down. If I'm not just a pile of cells controlled by a brain, what am I?
And that's the core concept, the integral man. Joanna teaches that if you look at a human being as just a body, you're missing the driver of the car. We are a triad, spirit, paraspirit, and matter.
Right.
You can't understand the sickness of the body without understanding the other two.
We hear spirit and body a lot, but paraspirit is the one that always trips people up. What exactly is its job in this context?
Think of the paraspirit as the interface, or even better, the blueprint. In these texts, Joanna often refers to it as the model organizing biological.
Okay, so like a mold.
Exactly, a mold. Imagine the spirit is the architect, the thinker, the energy source. The body is the building, the bricks and mortar.
Got it.
The paraspirit is the blueprint that tells the bricks where to go. It condenses that high-frequency spiritual energy into something dense enough to become matter.
So it's the go-between.
It is. It dictates how cells aggregate, how organs form. It is the energetic mold that shapes your physical biology.
So if the architect is drunk and draws a crooked line,
The blueprint gets distorted. And if the blueprint is distorted, the building your body...
it's just built with a crack in the foundation.
Exactly. If the spirit, the thinker, is disturbed, the paraspirit, the mold gets dented. And the body, which is just a faithful copy of that mold, inevitably manifests that distortion as disease.
That's a fascinating, if slightly unnerving analogy. It implies that our biology is actually a reflection of our biography, our past, our thoughts, our emotions.
It is.
But let's get mechanical for a second. How does a thought, which is invisible, actually break a cell? Because in Momentos de Saúde, she talks about the immune system literally collapsing.
She does, and she uses very active, almost violent language. She says, pathological occurrences in the psychic and emotional areas transfer to the organic. It's described as a bombardment.
A bombardment.
Yeah, when you are in a state of chronic mental disturbance, fear, hatred, deep guilt, you are literally bombarding yourselves with disorganized energy.
Like static interference.
Worse. Think of it like a corrosive radiation. This bombardment disturbs the energy field that sustains the cells. It specifically alters immunological factors.
But hold on, I have to play devil's advocate here.
Please do.
What about germs? What about viruses? I mean, if I walk into a room full of Ebola, it doesn't matter how zen my thoughts are, I'm probably getting sick. Is she denying the existence of germs?
Not at all. Joanna respects science. She acknowledges that germs, bacteria, and viruses are the agents of disease. They are the burglars prowling the neighborhood.
Okay.
But she argues that a healthy, harmonious mind creates an energetic field, a strong paraspirit that acts as a high-tech security system. It repels them or keeps them in check.
So the germ is the burglar, but my mind left the front door unlocked and the alarm system off.
That is the perfect way to put it. As the source states, the disease is an effect of deep disturbances in the field of thinking energy.
Mm,
The germ can only take hold if the terrain, your biological environment, is conducive to it,
yeah.
and you shape that terrain with your mind.
Okay, I can follow that logic for things like stress-induced illnesses, but there is a quote in Oham Integral that stopped me in my tracks.
I think I know which one.
She writes, "There are no diseases, only sick people." That sounds like a riddle.
It's a profound shift in perspective, isn't it? Western medicine treats the disease, it attacks the tumor, kills the bacteria.
Right.
Spiritism treats the sick person. It suggests that the physical symptom is just the final stop on a long train ride. The disease is just the smoke, the fire is in the soul.
Right, but here's where I struggle, and I think a lot of you listening might struggle too.
Sure.
This idea of we build our sickness can sound a lot like victim blaming. What about a baby born with leukemia? They haven't had time to think toxic thoughts or hold grudges. They've been alive for 3 months. Is that just bad luck?
That is the hardest question, and Joanna doesn't shy away from it. She is very clear.
Yeah.
In the divine economy, there is no bad luck. And genetics aren't random.
So how do you explain the baby?
She explains that the spirit inherits itself.
Inherits itself. Unpack that.
We have to zoom out.
Mm.
We tend to think of a life as starting at birth and ending at death. Joanna views life as a continuous thread.
Okay.
When a spirit connects to a new body during conception, it brings its luggage with it. We bring the matrices of our past actions from previous lives into our current genetic code.
Matrices.
Think of them like corrupted files on a hard drive. You buy a new computer, the baby's body, but you transfer all your old files onto it.
Uh-huh.
If one of those files has a glitch, the new computer is going to crash. The paraspirit, that mold, imprints its history onto the genetic formation of the fetus.
So if someone is born with a genetic predisposition to an illness, it's not an accident.
No, it's a mechanism of what she calls compulsory learning or repair. The spirit needs to offload those heavy energies or rectify moral imbalances from the past.
Wow.
The physical body acts as a filter, trapping that toxicity so the spirit can eventually be free of it.
That changes the framework entirely. It's not punishment, it's therapy.
It's rectification. It's a way to burn off the dross.
That is a heavy concept to digest. It suggests a universe that is incredibly orderly, even when it looks chaotic.
It does.
But let's bring this down from the cosmic level to the Tuesday afternoon level. Most of us aren't dealing with massive genetic karmic overhauls every day, but we are dealing with stress, anger, and sadness.
Right, the day-to-day.
And the sources get really specific, almost uncomfortably specific, about how certain emotions turn into certain symptoms.
They do. Autodiscopramento goes into the chemistry of emotion. It explains that strong emotions like fear or anger trigger the release of adrenaline and cortisol. You know this from biology, the fight or flight response.
Sure.
But Joanna points out the physical consequences of keeping that tap running 200/7.
Yeah.
It leads to higher blood sugar, muscle contraction, and eventually breakdown.
Let's run through the specific maladies she lists, because this is where it gets really interesting and maybe a little convicting for you. Let's start with anger. A lot of people are walking around with chronic, low-grade anger. What does that do to the body?
If you are chronically angry or violent, you are living in a state of high tension. The texts link this specifically to arthritis.
Arthritis, really.
Think about the mechanism. Anger creates muscle tension. It creates a grinding state in the body. Arthritis is the physical manifestation of that friction, grinding against life, stiffening up, refusing to bend. It also links to hypertension, high pressure, and diabetes.
Wow. Okay, what about something deeper? What about hatred or deep simmering resentment? The kind you hold for years.
This is described in very visceral terms in the text. Joanna calls hatred toxins, or garbage of the unconscious. She says these emotions corrode the gears of the emitter. And the physical link here is often digestive issues, ulcers, and, more severely, cancer.
She specifically links hate to cancer. That is a bold claim.
She describes cancer as cellular anarchy, and I think this is one of the most powerful metaphors in the book.
Okay.
Think about what cancer is. It's a cell that stops working for the collective good of the body and starts behaving selfishly, growing uncontrollably, destroying its neighbors.
It goes rogue.
Exactly. It's anarchy. Joanna argues that when the mind, the government of the body, is filled with hatred, which is a form of anarchy against the universal law of love.
The cells mirror that chaos.
Precisely. You bombard your cells with hate energy, and eventually they start behaving with hate.
Cellular anarchy, that is going to stick with me. It's like the cells are listening to the podcast of your internal monologue and deciding to act it out.
That's not far from the truth.
What about the flip side? Not hate, but a lack of love. Feeling abandoned, feeling unloved.
This is poignant, and she talks about this appearing in both children and adults. If you feel unnourished by love, if you feel rejected, your body often mirrors that by rejecting sustenance. This manifests as digestive troubles, indigestion, gastritis.
You literally can't stomach it.
Precisely. Or it manifests as eating disorders like anorexia or bulimia. The physical act of rejecting food is a mirror of the emotional experience of feeling rejected.
Wow.
The body is acting out the drama of the soul.
It's amazing how literal the body language is. It's not just a metaphor.
Not at all. And then there's guilt. Joanna describes guilt as an acid. It corrodes the emotional gears.
The acid.
And because guilt is essentially the self attacking the self, it leads to immune failure. Your immune system gets confused and stops defending you, or worse, turns on you.
I think everyone listening can identify with at least one of those. I know I'm mentally checking a few boxes here, but it really highlights this idea of an energy economy mentioned in Autodescobrimento. The text talks about congestion versus inhibition. What's the difference there?
It's about how we manage the flow of this vital energy. Imagine your energy is traffic on a highway. Congestion is road rage.
Okay.
It's an overload, too much energy, impulsiveness, violence, shouting. This tends to blow the fuses in the body, leading to strokes or heart attacks. It's an explosive release.
And inhibition.
Inhibition is a traffic jam where no one is moving. It's repressed energy.
Right. Yeah.
Swallowing your feelings, fear, apathy. This leads to depression, ulcers, or degeneration. It's an implosion.
There was also a specific note about the sacral center, which is basically the energy center related to sex and creation. The text says if that energy isn't sublimated, it causes problems. What does sublimated mean in this context?
It means raised up. We all have primal creative energy. If it stays stuck in the basement, focused only on instinct or obsession, it stagnates. Joanna links this stagnation to urinary and reproductive diseases. She argues that this energy needs to be moved upward channeled into art, into work, into love, into spirituality.
So if you don't use that energy to create something, it rots.
Basically. It's energy traffic that has nowhere to go, so it causes a wreck in the organs located right there.
And all of this seems to come back to that biological process of mitosis, or cell division. The mind is basically the traffic controller for cell division.
Correct. We have billions of cells dying and being born every day. Joanna asks, who tells the new cell what to be?
The mind.
It's the mind. When the mind is harmonious, cells divide and work for the collective good of the organism. When the mind is in anarchy, despair, hate, that guidance system fails.
Yeah.
And you get the cellular anarchy we talked about earlier.
So we've diagnosed the problem, and it's a pretty grim diagnosis. We are bombarding our poor cells with our emotional baggage. But Joanna de Ângelis doesn't just leave us depressed about our impending doom, right? She offers a way out. She talks about a new consciousness. What is the cure?
The cure is what she calls autodescobrimento self-discovery. And she emphasizes that true health is an interior conquest.
An interior conquest.
You can take medicine to fix the symptom. And again, she supports that. Please go to the doctor. But if you want to fix the cause, you have to penetrate the self. You have to identify those moral imperfections we talked about.
And this is where she suggests something that sounds a little woo-woo at first glance. She suggests we should actually talk to ourselves.
It does sound strange, but think of it as biofeedback. She suggests we must talk to our organs with love. If our unconscious mind has been screaming, I hate this life, or I'm guilty at our liver for 10 years.
Our conscious mind needs to start whispering love to it.
Yes. It's about re-encoding the message we are sending to the paraspirit. You have to override the bad programming.
And she brings up a specific role model for this kind of therapy. She calls Jesus the uncommon psychotherapist.
She does. In Momentos de Salud, she analyzes his methodology. We usually think of his teachings as religious rules, but Joanna asks us to look at them as a medical prescription.
Okay.
His recipe for health was simple. Love God and love your neighbor.
Which sounds like Sunday school, not a hospital.
But look at the logic she applies. She says love isn't just a sentiment, it is a vitamin.
A vitamin.
It creates a specific frequency in the paraspirit. When you love, you are harmonizing your energy field, which physically boosts the immune system. It stabilizes the mold.
So love is basically a superfood for the soul.
It is the ultimate stabilizing force. And the flip side of that is forgiveness. We often think of forgiveness as something we do for the other person, to be nice.
Right.
Joanna says forgiveness is a biological necessity.
A biological necessity.
Yes, it is a detoxification process. If you hold on to resentment, you are producing those toxins we talked about earlier. Forgiveness stops the production of the toxin.
Yeah.
She implies that if you don't forgive, you are essentially drinking poison and hoping the other person dies.
That puts a whole new spin on letting it go. You're not letting them off the hook, you're saving your own liver.
Exactly. She calls this mental hygiene. Just like we brush our teeth every day to prevent decay, we need to clean our minds every day to prevent disease. Optimism is medicine. Pessimism weakens defenses.
And she mentions prayer and meditation as the tools for that hygiene.
Right. And she clarifies that prayer isn't just asking for favors, please let me get a raise. It's plugging in.
Plugging in.
It connects us to the divine source of energy to recharge the paraspirit. When our battery is drained by stress and the grind of life, prayer is how we plug back into the grid.
I like that image. Because if we don't recharge, we are running on fumes, and that's when the immune system crashes.
Precisely.
So to recap this massive download of information, the spirit creates thoughts. Those thoughts shape the paraspirit, the mold. The paraspirit then molds the body. Therefore, a sick body is often a signal flare from a soul asking for attention.
That is the loop. And to break the cycle of sickness, we have to intervene at the level of the spirit. We have to use what Otto Discobramento calls the 3 eyes.
Right, the 3 eyes. The eye of flesh, the eye of reason, and the eye of contemplation.
The eye of flesh sees the material world, germs, symptoms, pain. It sees the what?
Okay.
The eye of reason sees the logic, the diagnosis, the science. It sees the how. Both are important. But true health comes from opening the third one, the eye of contemplation.
And what does that eye see?
It sees the why. It sees our true nature as eternal spirits. It sees that this life is just a classroom. When we see through that eye, the stress of the material world loses its crushing weight. We realize we are just travelers passing through.
And that perspective shift alone probably lowers your cortisol levels by half.
Undoubtedly.
Yeah.
It shifts us from fear to trust.
This has been an incredible journey through the mind-body connection. It really challenges you to take responsibility for what's going on inside your own head.
It does.
It stops you from being a passive victim of your biology.
It does. It removes the victim mentality. We aren't just victims of our bodies. We are the architects of them.
And that leads us to the final thought I want to leave you with today. Joanna de Ângelis tells us that we are the heirs of ourselves. We inherit our own genetics from our past lives, which implies that every thought you think today, every grudge you hold, every act of love you perform is physically building the body you will inhabit tomorrow or in your next life.
It raises the ultimate question. Are you building a prison or are you building a temple?
Something to think about the next time you feel a cold coming on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.